Hello, everyone. I know I've been gone for quite a while, and I apologize for that. It's just been a very hectic day, week, month, year, but that's okay. I'm back to read some more of Genesis. Today I'll be reading chapters 31 through 40 of Genesis. Again, if you like this, you can just read along with me. Use it for devotional time or prayer time, or you can use it to help you sleep. That's fine. Whatever you want to do. Also, if you have any suggestions, you can write it down in the comments or in the discussion. That's fine. I do take suggestions, but at the moment, since I have no suggestions, I'll just keep going through as I've always gone through. So I hope you enjoy. Chapter 31 of Genesis. Jacob runs away. One day Jacob heard Laban's sons talking. They said, "Jacob has taken everything our father owned, and in this way he has become rich." Then Jacob noticed that Laban was not as friendly as he had been before. The Lord said to Jacob, "Go back to the land where your ancestors lived, and I will be with you." So Jacob told Rachel and Leah to meet him in the field where he kept his flocks. He said to them, "I have seen that your father is not as friendly with me as he used to be, but the God of my father has always been with me. You both know that I have worked as hard as I could for your father, but he cheated me and changed my pay 10 times. But God has not allowed your father to harm me." When Laban said, "You can have all the speckled animals as your pay," all the animals gave birth to speckled young ones. But when he said, "You can have all the streaked animals as your pay," all the flocks gave birth to streaked babies. So God has taken the animals away from your father and has given them to me. I had a dream during the season when the flocks were mating. I saw that only male goats who were mating were streaked, speckled, or spotted. The angel of God spoke to me in that dream and said, "Jacob." I answered, "Yes." The angel said, "Look, only the streaked, speckled, or spotted male goats are mating. I have seen all the wrong things Laban has done to you. I am the God who appeared to you at Bethel, where you poured olive oil on the stone you set up on the end, and where you made a promise to me. Now I want you to leave here and go back to the land where you were born." Rachel and Leah answered Jacob, "Our father has nothing to give us when he dies. He has treated us like strangers. He sold us to you, and then he spent all the money you paid for us. God took all this wealth from our father, and now it belongs to us and our children. So do whatever God has told you to do." So Jacob put his children and his wives on camels, and they began their journey back to Isaac, his father, in the land of Canaan. All the flocks of animals that Jacob owned walked ahead of them. He carried everything with him that he had gotten while he lived in northwest Mesopotamia. While Laban was gone to cut the wool from his sheep, Rachel stole the idols that belonged to him, and Jacob tricked Laban the Aramean by not telling him he was leaving. Jacob and his family left quickly, crossed the Euphrates River, and traveled toward the mountains of Gilead. 3 days later, Laban learned that Jacob had run away, so he gathered his relatives and began to chase him. After 7 days, Laban found him in the mountains of Gilead. That night, God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream and said, "Be careful. Do not say anything to Jacob, good or bad." The search for the stolen idols. So Laban caught up to Jacob. Now Jacob had made his camp in the mountains, so Laban and his relatives set up their camp in the mountains of Gilead. Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? You cheated me and took my daughters as if you had captured them in a war. Why did you run away secretly and trick me? Why didn't you tell me? Then I could have sent you away with joy and singing and with the music of tambourines and harps. You did not even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You were very foolish to do this. I have the power to harm you, but last night the God of your father spoke to me and warned me not to say anything to you, good or bad. I know you want to go back to your home, but why did you steal my idols?" Jacob answered Laban, "I left without telling you because I was afraid you would take your daughters away from me. If you find anyone here who has taken your idols, that person will be killed. Your relatives will be my witness. You may look for anything that belongs to you and take anything that is yours." Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen Laban's idols. So Laban looked in Jacob's tent and Leah's tent, and in the tent where the 2 slave women stayed. he did not find the idols. When he left Leah's tent, he went into Rachel's tent. Rachel had hidden the idols inside her camel's saddle and was sitting on them. Although Laban looked through the whole tent, he did not find them. Rachel said to his father, "Father, don't be angry with me. I am not able to stand up before you because I am having my monthly period." So Laban looked through the camp, but he did not find his idols. Then Jacob became very angry and said, "What wrong have I done? What law have I broken to cause you to chase me? You have looked through everything I own, but you have found nothing that belongs to you. If you have found anything, show it to everyone. Put in front of your relatives and my relatives, and let them decide which one of us is right. I have worked for you now for 20 years. During all that time, none of the lambs and kids died during birth, and I have not eaten any of the male sheep from your flocks. Any time an animal was killed by wild beasts, I did not bring it to you, but made up for the loss myself. You made me pay for any animal that was stolen during the night, a day or night. In the daytime the sun took away my strength, and at night I was cold and could not sleep. I worked like a slave for you for 20 years. The first 14 to get to your 2 daughters, and the last 6 to earn your flocks. During that time you changed my pay 10 times. But the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac was with me. Otherwise you would have sent me away with nothing. But he saw the trouble I had and the hard work I did, and last night he corrected you." Jacob and Laban's agreement. Laban said to Jacob, "These girls are my daughters, their children belong to me, and these flocks are mine. Everything you see here belongs to me, but I can do nothing to keep my daughters and their children. Let us make an agreement, and let us set up a pile of stones to remind us of it." So Jacob took a large rock and set it up on its end. He told his relatives to gather rocks, so they took the rocks and piled them up. Then they ate beside the pile. Laban named that place in his language, "a pile to remind us," and Jacob gave the same name in Hebrew. Laban said to Jacob, "This pile of rocks will remind us of the agreement between us." That is why the place was called a pile to remind us. It was also called Mizpah, because Laban said, "Let the Lord watch over us while we are separated from each other. Remember that God is our witness, even if no one else is around us. He will know if you harm my daughters or marry other women. Here is the pile of rocks that I have put between us, and here is the rock I set up on end. This pile of rocks and this rock set on end will remind us of our agreement. I will never go past this pile to hurt you, and you must never come to my side of them to hurt me. Let the God of Abraham, who is the God of Nahor, and the God of their fathers, punish either of us if we break this agreement." So Jacob made a promise in the name of the God who his father Isaac worshipped. Then Jacob killed an animal and offered it as a sacrifice on the mountain, and he invited his relatives to share in the meal. After they finished eating, they spent the night on the mountain. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he left to return home. Chapter 32. Jacob meets Esau. When Jacob also went his way, the angels of the God met him. When he saw them, he said, "This is the camp of God." So he named that place Mahanaim. Jacob's brother Esau was living in the area called Seir in the country of Edom. Jacob sent messengers to Esau, telling them, "Give this message to my master Esau. This is what Jacob, your servant, says. I have lived with Laban and have remained there until now. I have cattle, donkeys, flocks, and male and female servants. I send this message to you and ask for you to accept us." The messengers returned to Jacob and said, "We went to your brother Esau. He is coming to meet you and has 400 men with him." Then Jacob was very afraid and worried. He divided the people who were with him and all the flocks and herds and camels into 2 camps. Jacob thought Esau might come and destroy one camp, but the other camp can run away and be saved. Then Jacob said, "God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, Lord, you told me to return to my country and my family. You said that you would treat me well. I am not worthy of kindness and continual goodness you have shown me. The first time I traveled across the Jordan River, I had only my walking stick, but now I own enough to have 2 camps. Please save me from my brother Esau. I am afraid he will come and kill all of us, even the mothers with the children. You said to me, I will treat you well, and will make your children as many as the sands of the seashore. There will be too many to count." Jacob stayed there for the night and prepared a gift for Esau from what he had with him: 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 female sheep and 20 male sheep, 30 female camels and their young, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys, Jacob gave each separate flocks of animals to one of his servants and said to them, "Go ahead of me and keep some space between each herd." Jacob gave them their orders. To the servant with the first group of animals he said, "My brother Esau will come to you and ask, 'Whose servants are you? Where are you going, and whose animals are these?' Then you will answer, 'They belong to your servant Jacob. He sent them as a gift to you, my master Esau, and he is also coming behind us.'" Jacob ordered the second servant, the third servant, and all the other servants to do the same thing. He said, "Say the same thing to Esau when you meet him. Say, 'Your servant Jacob is coming behind us.'" Jacob thought, "If I send these gifts ahead of me, maybe Esau will forgive me. Then when I see him, perhaps he will accept me." So Jacob sent the gifts to Esau, but he himself stayed that night in the camp. Jacob wrestles with God. During the night, Jacob rose and crossed the Jabbok River at the crossings, taking with him his 2 wives, his 2 slave girls, his 11 sons. He sent his family and everything he had across the river. So Jacob was alone, and a man came and wrestled with him until the sun was up. When the man saw he could not defeat Jacob, he struck Jacob's hip and put it out of joint. Then he said to Jacob, "Let me go, the sun is coming up." But Jacob said, "I will let you go if you will bless me." And the man said to him, "What is your name?" He answered, "Jacob." And the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, your name will now be Israel, because you have wrestled with God and your people, and you have won." Then Jacob asked him, "Please tell me your name." But the man said, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he blessed Jacob there. So Jacob named that place Peniel, saying, "I have seen God face to face, but my life was saved." Then the sun rose as he was leaving that place, and Jacob was limping because of his leg. And so even today, the people of Israel do not eat the muscle that is on the hip joints of animals, because Jacob was touched there. Chapter 33. Jacob shows his bravery. Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming, and with him were 400 men. So Jacob divided his children among Leah, Rachel, and 2 slave girls. Jacob put the slave girls with their children first, then Leah and her children behind them, and Rachel and Joseph last. Jacob himself went out in front of them and bowed down flat on the ground 7 times as he was walking toward his brother. But Esau ran to meet Jacob and put his arms around him and hugged him. Then Esau kissed him, and they both cried. When Esau looked up and saw the women and children, he asked, "Who are these people with you?" Jacob answered, "These are the children God has given me. God has been good to me, your servant." Then the 2 slave girls and their children came up to Esau and bowed down flat on the earth before him. Leah and her children also came up to Esau and also bowed down flat on the earth. Last of all, Joseph and Rachel came up to Esau, and they too bowed down flat before him. Esau said, "I saw many herds as I was coming here. Why did you bring them?" Jacob answered, "They were to please you, my master." But Esau said, "I already have enough, my brother. Keep what you have." Jacob said, "No, please, if I have pleased you, then accept the gift I give you. I am very happy to see your face again. It is like seeing the face of God, because you have accepted me. So I beg you to accept the gift I give you. God has been very good to me, and I have more than I need." And because Jacob begged, Esau accepted the gift. Then Esau said, "Let us be going. I will travel with you." But Jacob said to him, "My master, you know the children are weak, and I must be careful with my flocks and their young ones. If I force them to go too far in one day, all the animals will die. So, my master, you go on ahead of me, your servant. I will follow you slowly and let the animals and the children set the speed at which we travel. I will meet you, my master, in Edom." So Esau said, "Then let me leave some of my people with you." "No, thank you," said Jacob. "I only want to please you, my master." So that day Esau started back to Edom, but Jacob went to Succoth, where he built a house for himself and shelters for his animals. That is why the place was named Succoth. And Jacob left northwest Mesopotamia and arrived safely at the city of Shechem in the land of Canaan. There he camped east of the city. He brought a part of the field where he had camped from the sons of Hamor, father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of silver. He built an altar there and named it after God, the God of Israel. Chapter 34. Dinah is attacked. At this time, Dinah, the daughter of Leah and Jacob, went out to visit the women of the land. When Shechem, son of Hamor, and the Hivite, the ruler of the land, saw her, he took her and forced her to have sexual relations with him. Shechem fell in love with Dinah, and he spoke kindly to her. He told his father Hamor, "Please get this girl for me so I can marry her." Jacob learned how Shechem had disgraced his daughter, but since his sons were out in the field with the cattle, Jacob said nothing until they came home. While he waited, Hamor, the father of Shechem, went to talk with Jacob. When Jacob's sons heard what had happened, they came in from the field. They were very angry that Shechem had done such a wicked thing to Israel. It was wrong for him to have sexual relations with Jacob's daughter. A thing like this should not be done. But Hamor talked to Dinah's brother and said, "My son Shechem is deeply in love with Dinah. Please let him marry her. Marry our people. Give your women to our men as wives, and take our women for your men as wives. You can live in the same land with us. You will be free to own land and to trade here." Shechem also talked to Jacob and to Dinah's brothers and said, "Please accept my offer. I will give anything you ask. Ask as much as you want for the payment for the bride, and I will give it to you. Just let me marry Dinah." Jacob's sons answered Shechem and all his father with lies, because Shechem had disgraced their sister Dinah. The brothers said to them, "We cannot allow you to marry our sister because you are not circumcised. That would be a disgrace to us. But we will allow you to marry her if you do this one thing. Every man in your town must be circumcised like us. Then your men can marry our women, and our men can marry your women, and we will live in your land and become one people. If you refuse to be circumcised, we will take Dinah and leave." What they asked seemed fair to Hamor and Shechem, so Shechem quickly went to be circumcised because he loved Jacob's daughter. Now Shechem was the most respected man in his family, so Hamor and Shechem went to the gate of their city and spoke to the men of their city, saying, "These people want to be friends with us, so let them live in our land and trade here. There is enough land for all of us. Let us marry their women, and we can let them marry our women. But we must agree to one thing. All our men must be circumcised as they are. Then they will agree to live in our land, and we will be one people. If we do this, their cattle and their animals will belong to us. Let us do what they say, and they will stay in our land." All the people who had come to the city gate heard this. They agreed with Hamor and Shechem, and every man was circumcised. 3 days later, the men who were circumcised were still in pain. 2 of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and made a surprise attack on the city, killing all the men there. They killed Hamor and his son Shechem, and then took Dinah out of Shechem's house and left. Jacob's sons came upon the dead bodies and stole everything that was in the city to pay them back for what Shechem had done to their sister. So the brothers took the flocks, herds, and donkeys and everything in the city and in the fields. They took every valuable thing the people owned, even their wives and children and everything in the house. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You have caused me a lot of trouble. Now the Canaanites and the Perizzites who live in the land will hate me, since there are only a few of us. If they join together to attack us, my people and I will be destroyed." The brothers said, "We will not allow our sister to be treated like a prostitute." Chapter 35. Jacob in Bethel. God said to Jacob, "Go to the city of Bethel and live there. Make an altar to the God who appeared to you there when you were running away from your brother Esau." So Jacob said to his family and to all who were with him, "Put away the foreign gods you have, and make yourselves clean and change your clothes. We will leave here and go to Bethel. There I will build an altar to God, who has helped me during my time of trouble. He has been with me everywhere I have gone." So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods they had and the earrings they were wearing, and he hid them under the great tree near the town of Shechem. Then Jacob and his sons left there, but God caused the people in the nearby cities to be afraid, so they did not follow him. And Jacob and all the people who were with him went to Luz, and now it's called Bethel in the land of Canaan. There Jacob built an altar and named the place Bethel after God, because God had appeared to him there when he was running from his brother. Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died and was buried under the oak tree at Bethel, so they named that place Oak of Crying. Jacob's new name. When Jacob came back from northwest Mesopotamia, God appeared to him again and blessed him. God said to him, "Your name is Jacob, but you will not be called Jacob any longer. Your new name is Israel." So he called him Israel. God said to him, "I am God Almighty. Have many children and grow in number as a nation. You will be the ancestor of many nations and kings. The same land I gave to Abraham and Isaac I will give to you and your descendants." Then God left him. Jacob set up a stone on edge in that place where God had talked to him, and he poured a drink offering and olive oil on it to make it special for God. And Jacob named that place Bethel. Rachel dies giving birth. Jacob and his group left Bethel. Before they came to Ephrath, Rachel began giving birth to her baby, but she was having much trouble. When Rachel's nurse saw this, she said, "Don't be afraid, Rachel, you are giving birth to another son." Rachel gave birth to the son, but she herself died. As she lay dying, she named the boy Son of My Suffering, but Jacob called him Benjamin. Rachel was buried on the road to Ephrath, a district of Bethlehem, and Jacob set up a rock on her grave to honor her. That rock is still there. Then Israel continued his journey and camped just south of Migdal Eder. While Israel was there, Reuben had sexual relations with Israel's slave woman Bilhah, and Israel heard about it. The family of Israel. Jacob had 12 sons. He had 6 sons by his wife Leah, Reuben, his first son, then Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. He had 2 sons by his wife Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin. He had 2 sons by Rachel's slave girl Bilhah, Dan, and Naphtali. And he had 2 sons by Leah's slave girl Zilpah, Gad, and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob, who were born in northwest Mesopotamia. Jacob went to his father Isaac at Mamre near Hebron, where Abram and Isaac had lived. Isaac lived 180 years, so Isaac breathed his last breath and died when he was very old. And his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Chapter 36. Esau's family. This is the family history of Esau, also called Edom. Esau married women from the land of Canaan, Adah, the daughter of Elon, the Hittites, and Oholibamah, daughter of Anah, the son of Zibeon the Hivites, and Basemath, Ishmael's daughter, the sister of Nebaioth. Adah gave birth to Eliphaz for Esau. Basemath gave him Reuel, and Oholibamah gave him Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. These were Esau's sons who were born in the land of Canaan. Esau took his wives, his sons, his daughters, and all the people who lived with him, his herds and other animals, and all the belongings he had gotten in Canaan, and he went to a land away from his brother Jacob. Esau's and Jacob's belongings were becoming too many for them to live in the same land. The land where they had lived could not support both of them because they had too many herds. So Esau lived in the mountains of Edom. Esau also is named Edom. This is the family history of Esau. He is the ancestor of the Edomites, who live in the mountains of Edom. Esau's sons were Eliphaz, son of Adah, and Esau, and Reuel, son of Basemath, and Esau. Eliphaz has 5 sons, Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Eliphaz also had a slave woman named Timnah, and Timnah and Eliphaz gave birth to Amalek. These were Esau's grandsons by his wife Adah. Reuel had 4 sons, Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were Esau's grandson by his wife Basemath. Esau's third wife was Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah. Anah was the son of Zibeon. Esau and Oholibamah gave birth to Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. These were the leaders that came from Esau. Esau's first son was Eliphaz. From him came these leaders, Teman, Omar, Zepho, Kenaz, Korah, Gatam, and Amalek. These were the leaders that came from Eliphaz in the land of Edom. They were the grandsons of Adah. Esau's son Reuel was the father of these leaders, Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the leaders that came from Reuel in the land of Edom. They were the grandsons of Esau's wife Basemath. Esau's wife Oholibamah gave birth to these leaders, Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. These are the leaders that came from Esau's wife Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah. These were the sons of Esau, also called Edom, and these were their leaders. These were the sons of Seir the Horites, who were living in the land, Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. The sons of Seir were the leaders of the Horites in Edom. The sons of Lotan were Hori and Homam. Timnah was Lotan's sister. The sons of Shobal were Alvan, Manahath, Ebal, Shepho, and Onam. The sons of Zibeon were Ai and Anah. Anah is the man who found the hot springs in the desert while he was caring for his father's donkeys. The children of Anah were Dishon and Oholibamah, daughter of Anah. The sons of Dishon were Hemdam, Ishban, Ithran, and Karan. The sons of Ezer were Bilhan, Zavan, and Akan. The sons of Dishan were Uz and Aran. These were the names of the Horite leaders, Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. These men were the leaders of the Horite families who lived in the land of Edom. These are the kings who ruled in the land of Edom before the Israelites ever had a king. Bela, son of Beor, was the king of Edom. He became from the city of Dinhabah. When Bela died, Jobab, son of Zerah, became king. Jobab was from Bozrah. When Jobab died, Husham became king. He was from the land of the Temanites. When Husham died, Hadad, son of Bedad, who had defeated Midian in the country of Moab, became king. Hadad was from the city of Avith. When Hadad died, Samlah became king. He was from Masrekah. When Samlah died, Shaul became king. He was from Rehoboth, from the Euphrates River. When Shaul died, Balhanan, son of Akbor, became king. When Balhanan, son of Akbor, died, Hadad became king. He was from the city of Pau. His wife's name was Mehetabel, daughter of Matred, who was the daughter of Mehezabad. These Edomite leaders, listed by their families and regions, came from Esau. Their names were Timnah, Alva, Jeheth, Oholibamah, Elah, Pinon, Kenaz, Teman, Mibzar, Magdiel, and Iram. They were the leaders of Edom. Esau was the father of Edomites. The area where each of these families lived was named after that family. Chapter 37. Joseph the Dreamer. Jacob lived in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived. This was the family history of Jacob. Joseph was a young man, 17 years old. He and his brothers, the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives, cared for the flocks. Joseph gave his father bad reports about his brothers. Since Joseph was born when his father Israel was old, Israel loved him more than his other sons. He made Joseph a special robe with long sleeves. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father loved him more than he loved them, they hated their brother and could not speak to him politely. One time Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers about it, they hated him even more. Joseph said, "Listen to the dream I had. We were in the field tying bundles of wheat together. My bundle stood up, and your bundles of wheat gathered around it and bowed down to it." His brothers said, "Do you really think you will be king over us? Do you truly think you will rule over us?" His brothers hated him even more because of his dream and what he had said. Then Joseph had another dream, and he told his brothers about it also. He said, "Listen, I had another dream. I saw the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowing down to me." Joseph also told his father about this dream, but his father scolded him, saying, "What kind of dream is this? Do you really believe that your brothers and I will bow down to you?" Joseph's brothers were jealous of him, but his father thought about what these things could mean. One day Joseph's brother went to Shechem to graze their father's flock. Israel said to Joseph, "Go to Shechem where your brothers are grazing the flocks." Joseph answered, "I will go." His father said, "Go and see if your brothers and the flocks are all right. Then come back and tell me." So Joseph's father sent him from the valley of Hebron. When Joseph came to Shechem, a man found him wandering in the field and asked him, "What are you looking for?" Joseph answered, "I am looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they are grazing the flocks?" The man said, "They have already gone. I heard them say they were going to Dathan." So Joseph went to look for his brothers and found them in Dathan. Joseph sold into slavery. Joseph's brothers saw him coming from far away. Before he reached them, they made a plan to kill him. They said to each other, "Here comes that dreamer. Let's kill him and throw his body into one of the wells. We can tell our father that a wild animal killed him. Then we will see what will become of his dreams." But Reuben heard their plan and saved Joseph, saying, "Let's not kill him. Don't spill any blood. Throw him into this well here in the desert, but don't hurt him." Reuben planned to save Joseph later and send him back to his father. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they pulled up his robe with long sleeves and threw him into the well. It was empty and there was no water in it. While Joseph was in the well, the brothers sat down to eat. When they looked up, they saw a group of Ishmaelites traveling from Gilead to Egypt. Their camels were carrying spices, balm, and myrrh. Then Judah said to their brothers, "What will we gain if we kill our brother and hide his death? Let's sell him to these Ishmaelites. Then we will not be guilty of killing our own brother. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." And the other brothers agreed. So when the Midianite traders came by, the brothers took Joseph out of the well and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 8 ounces of silver, and the Ishmaelites took him to Egypt. When Reuben came back to the well and Joseph was not there, he tore his clothes to show he was upset. Then he went back to his brothers and said, "The boy is not there. What shall I do?" The brothers killed a goat and dipped Joseph's robe in his blood. Then they brought the long-sleeved robe to their father and said, "We found this robe. Look it over carefully and see if it is your son's robe." Jacob looked it over and said, "It is my son's robe. Some savage animal has eaten him. My son Joseph has been torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes and put on rough cloth to show that he was upset, and he continued to be sad about his son for a long time. All of his sons and daughters tried to comfort him, but he could not be comforted. He said, "I will be sad about my son until the day I die." So Jacob cried for his son Joseph. Meanwhile, the Midianites who had bought Joseph had taken him to Egypt. There they sold him to Potiphar, an officer to the king of Egypt and captain of the palace guard. Chapter 38. Judah and Tamar. About that time Judah left his brothers and went to stay with a man named Hira in the town of Adullam. There Judah met a Canaanite girl, the daughter of a man named Shua, and married her. Judah had sexual relations with her, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son, whom Judah named Er. Later she gave birth to another son, and named him Onan. Still later she had another son, and named him Shelah. She was at Kezib when this third son was born. Judah chose a girl named Tamar to be the wife of his first son Er, but Er, Judah's oldest son, did what the Lord said was evil, so the Lord killed him. Then Judah said to Er's brother Onan, "Go and have sexual relations with your dead brother's wife. It is your duty to provide children for your brother in this way." But Onan knew that the children would not belong to him, so he was supposed to have sexual relations with Tamar. He did not complete the sex act. This made it impossible for Terah to become pregnant and for Er to have descendants. The Lord was displeased by this wicked thing Onan had done, and so the Lord killed Onan also. Then Judah said to his daughter-in-law Tamar, "Go and live in your father's house, and don't marry until my young son Shelah grows up." Judah was very afraid that Shelah would also die like his brothers, so Tamar returned to her father's home. After a long time, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died. After Judah had gotten over his sorrow, he went to Timnah to the men who were cutting the wool from his sheep. His friend Hira from Adullam went with him. Tamar learned that Judah, her father-in-law, was going to Timnah to cut the wool from his sheep. So she took off the clothes that showed she was a widow and covered her face with a veil to hide who she was. Then she sat down at the gate of Enaim, on this road to Timnah. She did this because Judah's younger son Shelah had grown up, but Judah had not made plans for her to marry him. When Judah saw her, he thought that she was a prostitute because she had her face covered with a veil. So Judah went to her and said, "Let me have sexual relations with you." He did not know that she was Tamar, his daughter-in-law. She asked, "What will you give me if I let you have sexual relations with me?" And Judah answered, "I will send you a young goat from my flock." She answered, "First give me something to keep as a deposit until you send the goat." Judah asked, "What do you want me to give you as a deposit?" Tamar answered, "Give me your seal and its cord, and give me your walking stick." So Judah gave these things to her. Then Judah and Tamar had sexual relations, and Tamar became pregnant. When Tamar went home, she took off the clothes and the veil that covered her face, and put the clothes on that showed she was a widow. Judah sent his friend Hira with a young goat to find the woman and get back his seal and walking stick he had given her, but Hira could not find her. He asked the people at the town of Enaim, "Where is the prostitute who was here by the road?" They answered, "There has never been a prostitute here." So he went back to Judah and said, "I could not find the woman, and the people who live here said there has never been a prostitute here." Judah said, "Let her keep the things. I don't want people to laugh at us. I sent her the goat as I promised, but you could not find her." About 3 months later, someone told Judah, "Tamar, your daughter-in-law, is guilty of acting like a prostitute, and now she is pregnant." Then Judah said, "Bring her out and let her be burned to death." When the people went to bring Tamar out, she sent a message to her father-in-law that said, "The man who owns these things has made me pregnant. Look at the seal and its cord and the walking stick and tell me who these are." Judah recognized them and said, "She is more in the right than I. She did this because I did not give her to my son Shelah as I promised." And Judah did not have sexual relations with her again. When the time came for Tamar to give birth, there were twins in her body. While she was giving birth, one baby put his hand out. The nurse tied a red string on his hand and said, "This baby came out first." But he pulled his hand back in, so the other baby was born first. The nurse said, "So you were able to break out first," and they named him Perez. After this, the baby with the red string on his hand was born, and they named him Zerah. Chapter 39. Joseph is sold to Potiphar. Now Joseph has been taken down to Egypt. An Egyptian named Potiphar was an officer to the king of Egypt and the captain of the palace guard. He brought Joseph down from Ishmaelites, who had brought him down there. The Lord was with Joseph, and he became a successful man. He lived in the house of his master, Potiphar the Egyptian. Potiphar saw that the Lord was with Joseph, and that the Lord made Joseph successful in everything he did. So Potiphar was very happy with Joseph and allowed him to be his personal servant. He put Joseph in charge of the house, trusting him with everything he owned. When Joseph was put in charge of the house and everything Potiphar owned, the Lord blessed the people in Potiphar's house because of Joseph. And the Lord blessed everything that belonged to Potiphar, both in the house and in the field. So Potiphar left Joseph in charge of everything he owned, and was not concerned about anything except the food he ate. Joseph is put in prison. Now Joseph was well built and handsome. After some time, the wife of Joseph's master began to desire Joseph, and one day she said to him, "Have sexual relations with me." But Joseph refused and said to her, "My master trusts me with everything in this house. He has put me in charge of everything he owns. There is no one in this house greater than I. He has not kept anything from me except you, because you are his wife. How can I do such an evil thing? It is a sin against God." The woman talked to Joseph every day, but he refused to have sexual relations with her, or even spend time with her. One day Joseph went into the house to do his work as usual, and was the only man in the house at the time. His master's wife grabbed his coat and said to him, "Come and have sexual relations with me." But Joseph left his coat in her hand and ran out of the house. When she saw that Joseph had left his coat in her hands and had run outside, she called to the servants in her house and said, "Look, this Hebrew slave was brought here to shame us. He came in and tried to have sexual relations with me, but I screamed. My scream scared him, and he ran away, but he left his coat with me." She kept his coat until her husband came home, and she told him the same story. She said, "This Hebrew slave you brought here came in to shame me. When he came near me, I screamed. He ran away, but he left his coat." When Joseph's master heard what his wife said Joseph had done, he became very angry. So Potiphar arrested Joseph and put him into prison, where the king's prisoners were put. And Joseph stayed there in prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him kindness, and caused the prison warden to like Joseph. The prison warden chose Joseph to take care of all the prisoners, and he was responsible for whatever was done in the prison. The warden paid no attention to anything that was in Joseph's care, because the Lord was with Joseph and made him successful in everything he did. Chapter 40. Joseph interprets 2 dreams. After these things happened, 2 of the king's officers displeased the king, the man who served wine to the king and the king's baker. The king became angry with his officer who served him wine and his baker, so he put them in prison of the captain of the guard, and the same prison where Joseph was kept. The captain of the guard put the 2 prisoners in Joseph's care, and they stayed in prison for some time. One night both the king's officer who served him wine and the baker had a dream. Each had his own dream with its own meaning. When Joseph came to them the next morning, he saw that they were worried. He asked the king's officers who were with him, "Why do you look so unhappy today?" The 2 men answered, "We both had dreams last night, but no one can explain their meaning to us." Joseph said to them, "God is the only one who can explain the meaning of dreams. Tell me your dreams." So the man who served wine to the king told Joseph his dream. He said, "I dreamed I saw a vine, and on the vine were 3 branches. I watched the branches bud and blossom, and then the grapes ripened. I was holding the king's cup, so I took the grapes and squeezed the juice into the cup. Then I gave it to the king. Though Joseph said, 'I will explain the dream to you. The 3 branches stand for 3 days. Before the end of 3 days the king will free you, and he will allow you to return to your work. You will serve the king his wine just as you did before, but when you are free, remember me. Be kind to me, and tell the king about me so I can get out of this prison. I was taken by force from the land of Hebrews, and I have done nothing here to deserve being put in prison." The baker saw that Joseph's explanation of the dream was good, so he said to him, "I also had a dream. I dreamed that there were 3 bread baskets on my head. In the top basket were all kinds of baked food for the king, but all the birds were eating this food out of the basket on my head." Joseph answered, "I will tell you what this dream means. The 3 baskets stand for 3 days. Before the end of 3 days, the king will cut off your head. He will hang your body on a pole, and the birds will eat your flesh. 3 days later, on his birthday, the king gave a feast for all his officers. In front of his officers, he released from prison the chief officer who served his wine and the chief baker. The king gave his chief officer who served wine his old position, and once again he put the king's cup of wine in the king's hand. But the king hanged the baker on a pole. Everything happened just as Joseph said it would, but the officer who served wine did not remember Joseph. He forgot all about him. And that's the end of chapter 40. So for now, I'm done reading for tonight. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it relaxed you. I apologize if there was any background noise, and I also apologize if I stuttered or mispronounced anything. I'm not very fluent in the Hebrew language. Not at all, in fact. But that's okay. I just read it to bring some comfort and relaxation to some people, and also share the Word of God. So, everyone have a good night, or good day, whenever time it is that you're watching this, or listening. And thank you.